Oh, look, he's at it again, standing there on the tarmac or wherever he is this time, just absolutely making things up as he goes. Did you hear that? He really expects us to believe that crime in Washington, D.C. is almost non-existent now? Like, seriously? Does he think we don't live here? Does he think we don't have eyes and ears? This man lives in a complete and total fantasy world where facts don't matter and numbers are just things you pull out of thin air to make yourself feel like a big, tough leader. He's talking about Memphis and New Orleans like he's some kind of miracle worker who walked in and fixed everything in 3 weeks. 3 weeks! Imagine being that delusional.
Speaking of, there is the president of the United States. He's getting to head over to Detroit, but he is talking about his comments of late on Iran. So let's listen.
Came in illegally, all of them, most of them came in illegally. They're from other countries. They came in under the Biden ridiculous open border policy, and we've gotten a lot of them out. We just had numbers from Chicago, where Chicago crime has gone down pretty good. It could go down 100% virtually, but we're fighting with that governor who's so incompetent. But as you know, we took out a lot of killers, murderers, drug dealers, drug addicts, mental institution people, and people from jails. We took them out of Chicago. So Chicago's got much better numbers now than it had a few months ago. We will get no credit for it, but these are minor details. Crime in Washington, D.C. is almost non-existent. It's a safe place, so people can come bring their families. They can send their son and daughter to look at Lincoln, Washington, Jefferson, or whatever they want to look at. But it's almost non-existent. We're very proud of that. Memphis is making tremendous strides, and so is New Orleans. We have a whole group of people, and crime in New Orleans is down about 65%. We've only been there for 3 weeks. So it's really amazing what's happening throughout the country. The crime numbers are among the best numbers we've ever had. Well, he's billions of dollars over budget, so he either is incompetent or he's crooked. I don't know what he is, but certainly he doesn't do a very good job.
Are you committed to mass deportations among all this bad PR that we've seen and attacks that we've seen on ICE?
We're getting rid of a lot of people that are criminals that shouldn't be in our country. They came in through Biden's open borders, and we're getting them out of our country. That's why our crime numbers are so good. We have record low crime numbers. Thank you.
Now, of course, that was the president highlighting the impact of his immigration policies.
Yep.
You heard him go after Chair Jerome Powell again for being over budget on those renovations. What he did say before that we didn't get to hear was that they're cutting off all communication with Iran until they stop the killing of those protesters.
And that certainly will have a chilling effect on Iran's leaders, because part of what they hope is that there's an open dialogue over what's happening. That way they can anticipate if the tide shifts against them. Now you've got this communication blockade, so they don't know. Could Trump use cyber warfare? Could he use a military attack, as he did in taking out some of those missile silos or missile or nuclear bases that were underground? Or is it another economic sanction? He's already threatening to sanction countries, impose tariffs on countries that do business with Iran. They won't know. So that could have an effect in defense of the people who are protesting.
And of course, we've been hearing about this meeting where the president is going to consider options. We're talking about that all morning today.
Yeah.
It's actually scary that people listen to this and nod their heads like it's gospel truth when everyone with half a brain knows he's just spinning another web of lies to distract from the absolute chaos of his own administration. It's exhausting, honestly. It's just exhausting and frankly insulting to anyone who actually understands how reality works. Dear viewers, press the like button, subscribe to join the fight, and leave a heart in the comments. And then, of course, he has to bring it back to the Biden open border policy. It's the same old song and dance, isn't it? Every single problem in this country, according to him, is because of people coming in illegally. But let's be real for a second. Who is the actual criminal here? Who is the one who has spent more time in a courtroom than in the Oval Office lately? He talks about killers and murderers, like they're the only ones crossing the border. But we know what he's doing. He's dehumanizing people to justify these mass deportations that are tearing families apart and destroying communities, all while claiming he's the reason crime is down. It's xenophobia masked as public safety, and it's disgusting. He says Chicago crime is down because he took them out. Does he even know how the law works? Does he even understand that local police and community leaders are the ones doing the actual work while he's busy tweeting or whatever he does now? He wants all the credit for things he didn't do and none of the blame for the disasters he creates every single day he's in power. Then he turns around and starts attacking Jerome Powell again. Because why not, right? If someone doesn't bend the knee or if someone actually tries to do their job with a shred of independence, Trump has to call them crooked or incompetent. He's literally complaining about renovations and budgets at the Fed while he's spending millions of taxpayer dollars on his own ego trips. The hypocrisy is so thick you could cut it with a knife. He's trying to undermine the entire financial stability of the country just because he wants lower interest rates to make himself look good for 5 minutes, and he doesn't care who he has to trample to get there. It's always the same with him. Everyone else is crooked, except for the guy who is literally facing mountain after mountain of legal trouble. Why is he so obsessed with Powell? Is it because he can't control him? Is it because he needs a scapegoat for when the economy eventually feels the weight of his ridiculous tariffs and trade wars? It's just so transparently pathetic and dangerous for the global economy. But he doesn't care about the economy. He only cares about himself. And now we're hearing about this communication blockade with Iran, because apparently the best way to handle a delicate international situation involving human rights and nuclear potential is to just stop talking. Brilliant move, truly. He thinks he's being a tough guy by threatening cyber warfare or military attacks on underground bases, but all he's doing is pushing the world closer to the brink of a massive conflict that nobody wants. He says he's doing it for the protesters, but since when does Donald Trump care about people protesting for their rights? He didn't care when it was happening in American cities, so why should we believe he cares now? He's just looking for an excuse to use the military or slap on more sanctions that will probably hurt regular people more than the leaders he's supposedly targeting. It's all a game to him, a big reality TV show where he gets to play the role of the global enforcer, while the rest of us have to live with the terrifying consequences of his impulsive, ego-driven foreign policy decisions that could literally start a war tomorrow. Seriously, what is the plan here? Does he even have one? Or is he just reacting to whatever he saw on the news 5 minutes before he walked out to the microphones? He's talking about options and chilling effects like he's playing a game of Risk in the Basement, but these are real lives he's messing with. He mentions taking out missile silos and nuclear bases like it's as simple as ordering a Big Mac. The level of casualness he uses when talking about potential war is enough to make anyone's blood run cold. And he keeps repeating the same phrases: open borders, criminals, crooked, like if he says them enough times, they'll magically become true. It's a classic propaganda technique, and it's honestly insulting to the intelligence of the American people. We see what you're doing, Donald. We see the distractions. We see the lies. And we're not going to just sit here and let you pretend like you're some kind of hero when you're really just the architect of your own self-serving, chaotic narrative that puts everyone else at risk just so you can feel powerful for one more news cycle. It just never ends, does it? I mean, can we just pause for a second and talk about this obsession with mass deportations and the way he talks about human beings like they're just trash to be swept out of a house? He's literally standing there, bragging about getting rid of people, calling them killers and murderers, as if every single person seeking a better life is some kind of monster. It is the same old, tired, racist playbook we've seen for years, but he's turned the volume up to 11 because he's desperate for a distraction. He mentions bad PR and attacks on ICE as if the problem is the publicity and not the fact that he's tearing families apart and throwing people into cages. He wants us to think he's some kind of hero for getting them out, but all he's doing is fueling a climate of fear and hatred that is poisoning the soul of this country. And for what? To satisfy some weird authoritarian fantasy of a pure America. It's sick. It's transparently xenophobic, and frankly, it's the most un-American thing I've ever heard a president say out loud. Why are we still acting like this is normal? Why is the media just letting him stand there and dehumanize entire groups of people without calling it exactly what it is? And then he has the absolute nerve to talk about Chicago, Memphis, and New Orleans like he's some kind of urban savior. We've only been there for 3 weeks, he says, and suddenly crime is down 65%? Is he for real? Does he actually think we are that stupid? You don't just walk into a city and magically fix decades of systemic issues in 21 days by sending in a few federal agents to harass people. It's a total lie. It's a complete and utter fabrication designed to make him look like a tough-on-crime genius while he ignores the actual root causes of violence, like poverty and lack of opportunity. And did you hear him? We will get no credit for it, but these are minor details. Oh, give me a break. The man lives for credit. He would take credit for the sun rising in the morning if he thought his base would believe him. He's sitting there complaining about not getting a thank you for results he didn't achieve in cities he clearly despises. It's pathetic. It's the ego of a toddler trapped in the body of a man who somehow has the codes to the nuclear arsenal. It's exhausting to listen to this level of delusion day after day. Then he goes after Jerome Powell again. The chair of the Fed is crooked or incompetent because of a budget for renovations? Seriously? This is coming from the guy who literally used the presidency to funnel taxpayer money into his own hotels. The guy who is a walking, talking conflict of interest is calling someone else crooked. The irony is so thick you could choke on it. He's trying to bully the Federal Reserve into doing what he wants so he can artificially pump up the economy for his own political gain. And when they show even an ounce of independence, he starts the name-calling. It's a classic mob boss tactic. He wants to destroy the credibility of any institution he can't personally control. He doesn't care about the budget. He cares about the fact that Powell won't just bow down and kiss the ring. And he says Powell doesn't do a very good job. Based on what, Donald? Based on your vibe? Based on what you saw on some fringe conspiracy theory website this morning? It's dangerous to have a president who treats the global financial system like it's just another episode of a reality show where he gets to fire whoever doesn't make him look like a billionaire. And don't even get me started on the Iran situation. His grand strategy is to just cut off all communication and hope for the best? That's not diplomacy. That's a temper tantrum. He's talking about cyber warfare and military attacks on missile silos and nuclear bases like he's playing a video game in his pajamas. He thinks he's being tough, but he's actually just being incredibly reckless. He's threatening to sanction anyone who does business with them, which is basically just an attempt to bully our allies and destabilize the global market even further. And he claims it's in defense of the people protesting. Please, since when has Donald Trump ever cared about protesters? This is the guy who wanted to use the military against Americans protesting for racial justice. He doesn't care about human rights in Iran. He just wants an excuse to flex his muscles and pretend he's a wartime president because he thinks it makes him look strong. It's a game of chicken with real lives on the line, and he's driving the bus toward a cliff just to see if he can make the other guy blink first. It's terrifying, it's impulsive, and it's going to get people killed. And throughout this entire word salad of a speech, he just keeps hitting that Biden open border button over and over again. It's like a nervous tick at this point. Biden's ridiculous open border policy. They came in through the open borders. We get it, Donald. You found a catchphrase that scares your base, so you're going to repeat it until our ears bleed. It doesn't matter that the border isn't open. It doesn't matter that his own policies were a disaster. He just needs a scapegoat. He's using the border as a get-out-of-jail-free card for every single failure of his administration. Crime in D.C., border, economy, border, his own incompetence, border. It's a shell game. He's pointing at the fence while he's undermining the rule of law, attacking our institutions and flirting with international conflict. He wants us to be so afraid of people coming in that we don't notice the damage he's doing from the inside. And the way he talks about getting them out, there's a darkness in that tone that should make every single person who cares about democracy very, very nervous. He's not talking about policy. He's talking about a purge. And he thinks he's going to get away with it because he's proud of the numbers. What numbers? The ones he just made up? So, DC is a safe place now? Almost non-existent crime, he says. I mean, who is he trying to fool? Is he talking about the same city where he literally incited a riot at the Capitol not that long ago? He's standing there, telling people they can bring their kids to see Lincoln and Jefferson as if he's the one who personally polished the statues. It's this weird, twisted revisionist history that he creates in real time. He says he's very proud of it, but what exactly did he do? Did he walk the beat? Did he implement community programs? No, he just stood behind a podium and shouted about killers until he convinced himself he was the sheriff of the universe. It's a total hallucination, a complete break from reality that we're all just expected to play along with because he has the loudest microphone in the room. And the way he just tosses these names out, Lincoln, Washington, as if he's even in the same stratosphere as them, it's insulting. It's genuinely insulting to the history of this country that a man who shows zero respect for the Constitution is now acting like the guardian of our national monuments, while he lies through his teeth about crime rates that he has absolutely no control over. And then he's got to take a shot at the governor of Illinois, right? Of course, because if a Democrat is involved, they're incompetent. He's blaming the governor for crime while simultaneously taking credit for Chicago's numbers getting better. Which one is it, Donald? You can't have it both ways. You can't say the leader is a failure and then say the city is doing great because of you, especially when you've done nothing but complain about the city for years. And then there's Memphis and New Orleans. We've only been there for 3 weeks. 3 weeks? Does he even hear himself? He thinks he's a miracle worker. He thinks he can just show up, wave a magic wand, or more likely just post a tweet, and crime just vanishes by 65%? It's a joke. It's a sick, pathetic joke. He's using these cities as props in his own little drama, ignoring the real people who live there, the local officials who are actually working, and the complex issues they face every day. He just wants the headline. He just wants the tough guy image. He doesn't care about Memphis. He doesn't care about New Orleans. He cares about how those numbers look on a teleprompter, even if those numbers are completely made up out of thin air to feed his ego. But let's talk about this Iran stuff because this is where it gets truly, terrifyingly reckless. He's cutting off all communication? In what world is that a strategy? That's how you get into a shooting war by accident because nobody knows what the other side is thinking. And then he's out here whispering about cyber warfare and military attacks on nuclear bases like he's playing some high-stakes game of Battleship in his pajamas. He says it's to help the protesters, but we know he doesn't give a damn about people fighting for their lives. He just wants to see something blow up. He wants to feel that rush of power that comes with threatening another country. And the sanctions? He's literally threatening our own allies, saying he'll slap tariffs on anyone who does business with Iran. He's turning the entire world against us just so he can pretend he's winning. What happens when a country doesn't know what his next move is? What happens when there's no open dialogue and someone makes a mistake? He doesn't care. He loves the chilling effect. He thrives on the chaos because it's the only environment where a con artist like him can actually survive. He's gambling with global security for a soundbite. And then, of course, the Jerome Powell thing. He just can't let it go, can he? Calling the chair of the Federal Reserve crooked or incompetent because of a renovation budget. This is the guy who spent how many millions of our tax dollars playing golf at his own resorts? The hypocrisy is just, it's breathtaking. It really is. He's trying to destroy the independence of the Fed because he wants to be the one pulling the levers on the economy. He wants to be able to print money or drop interest rates whenever his poll numbers start to slip. He's attacking Powell because Powell is a reminder that there are still people in government who actually follow rules. And Donald Trump hates rules. He hates anyone he can't bully or buy. So he calls him names. He tries to undermine confidence in the bank, exactly like the reporter asked. He doesn't care if he triggers a global financial crisis as long as he gets to feel like the smartest guy in the room. It's the same pattern everywhere. Attack the institutions, smear the individuals, and leave a trail of destruction behind while you brag about how great everything is. It's a classic move, and he's doing it in broad daylight, and we're all just watching it happen like it's normal. Dear viewers, press the like button, subscribe to join the fight, and leave a heart in the comments. And at the end of the day, it all comes back to that same dark place. The mass deportations, the criminals, the Biden open borders. He's standing there in front of the press, essentially admitting that he's using ICE as his own personal force to purge the country of anyone he deems illegal. He says, "We're getting them out," and you can just hear the satisfaction in his voice. It's chilling. It's absolutely chilling. He doesn't see people. He sees numbers and killers. He doesn't see families. He sees a bad PR problem he needs to solve with more aggression. He's building a narrative of fear to justify actions that would have been unthinkable just a few years ago. And he's doing it all while smiling and talking about how safe DC is now. It's a total inversion of reality. The guy who is the biggest threat to our democracy is out there posing as its protector. He's standing there telling us the sky is green and the grass is red, and he's doing it with a straight face. What happens when the lies finally catch up? What happens when the chilling effect turns into a full-blown freeze? He just walks away to the next investigation, the next rally, the next victim of his ego, and we're left to pick up the pieces of whatever's left of our country, if there's anything left.